Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Stage separation confirmed. Dragon, separation confirmed.
Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Atticus Vadera, and I'll be your host for tonight's Starlink mission, set to lift off from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral in Florida.
Tanks are pressing for strong back retract.
Tonight's mission marks SpaceX's 47th launch of the year and our 246th mission to date. This is also our final launch of the Starlink V1.5 satellites. To celebrate this milestone, the teams at SpaceX, both in Hawthorne and in Redmond, are gearing up to watch the last 54 V1.5 sats lift off onboard our Falcon 9 rocket in just about 4.5 minutes from now. The V1.5s have enabled global coverage for Starlink and represent about 67% of the current Starlink constellation. Additionally, the V1.5 Starlink satellites introduced laser interlinks that will allow satellites over the ocean to talk to ground stations via a laser relay between the satellites. Some of those laser beams have traveled 2,700 kilometers to other satellites in the network, and that's slightly more than the distance between Starbase in Texas and SpaceX headquarters here in Hawthorne. Lasers were the real groundbreaking technology that has enabled Starlink to be a true global constellation. It also really helps us manage user traffic at peak times in congested markets. Congrats to the teams for these incredible achievements. At T-minus 3 minutes and 40 seconds, our teams are currently tracking no issues with the vehicle or with the spacecraft. The range is ready to support, and we are currently tracking 75% chance of launch based on weather. We are working towards a T0 of 12:40 a.m. Eastern Time. And at this point in the countdown, the clamp arms beneath the fairing have opened up, and the strongback has retracted away from the rocket. The strongback is also called the transport erector, or TE, is how we break over the vehicle from its horizontal to vertical position. It's also how we route electrical connections and propellant.
Stage 1 load is complete.
And propellant to the vehicle. We just heard that stage 1 has completed its liquid oxygen loading. So with that, the Falcon 9 first stage is fully loaded with RP1 and liquid oxygen, and now we're just awaiting the completion of liquid oxygen loading on the second stage, and that should be wrapping up in around 40 seconds. Now, if you didn't know, we do use two types of propellant on the Falcon 9. Those propellants are RP1, which stands for Rocket Propellant 1, and that's a rocket-grade kerosene, and LOX, which stands for liquid oxygen. And you can probably see those white clouds coming off the side of the booster, and that's the gas above the liquid oxygen tank venting out to maintain pressure inside of the tanks. The first stage, or booster, that's supporting this mission is flying for its 16th time. And after liftoff and stage separation...
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
Great news there. We just heard that stage 2 has finished its LOX loading. After liftoff and stage separation, the booster is scheduled to land on our drone ship, A Shortfall of Gravitas. And coming up next in 30 seconds, we should hear that Falcon 9 is in startup, which means that the flight computers have taken over the launch countdown.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And we did just hear that the flight computers have taken over the countdown, and the rocket is now on internal power.
Hold. Aborting launch automation. Launch abort is running.
If you're tuning into the webcast, you might have just heard the hold during the countdown at around T-minus 40 seconds. Prior to that countdown, we were proceeding nominally. And keep in mind, the purpose of the countdown is to help us catch potential issues prior to flight. There are 1,000 ways to launch a rocket, and there's only one way that it can go right. So given that, we are overly cautious on the ground, and if the team or the vehicle sees anything that looks just even slightly off, we will stop the countdown. Now, the vehicle and payload are in good health, but this will end our launch attempt for tonight. So please check our social media accounts for our next launch opportunity, and hopefully you'll join us for that. But thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we will see you next time.